music is effectively free now. And so people have no obligation to spend money on your music in order to hear your music. And so purchasing of music, purchasing of concert tickets, purchasing of t-shirts are all sort of like a vaguely political act. They're a show of solidarity and support for an artist because you don't need to do any of those things to have any of those things. And so as a result, it's not just good enough to have a good song. You have to have a good album, and you have to put on a good show, and you have to be a nice person, and you have to take care of these people that support you. And if you do, then ultimately people come to your shows and they buy t-shirts and they'll buy your record even though they can get it for free out of every phone and McDonald's cup in the world. And so as a result, you have a level of obligation, I think now, as a musician and a business owner to really serve customers that way.
Hey everyone, welcome to Growth Raps, where we speak to rappers about growth. Professional, musical, spiritual growth. And I am privileged enough today to be joined by Four Fists, Mr. Andy and Mr. Steph. Thank you guys so much for stopping by during the Boston stop of your tour.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you too.
Yeah.
You all had a lot of fun trying to punk us to convince us that there wasn't going to be a full-length album, didn't you?
Yeah, it was really all part of the marketing plan.
Mostly we were just trying to trick everybody.
Yeah, you put out a 45 and then you wait 5 years to put out an album. It's like really, Beyonce's going to be doing it in a few years. We're really ahead of our time.
Yeah.
I like that you led with marketing, actually. That's terrific.
It's pretty much all we think about.
Yeah.
You had actually told me once, Andy, years ago when we first met, about how as an independent artist, the marketing side and the self-promotion side is a huge percentage of the work that you do outside of the music itself.
Yeah, for me, certainly I sit on a lot of social media. It's a lot more emails than they lead you to believe when you're watching Fugazi's Instrument. It's a lot of emails and social media now.
Is that the case also with you, Steph?
Yeah, it really is. I take a lot harder breaks than I think a lot of my friends that are more popular and I guess want to be more visible at it. I feel like I still want to be more visible, but I have a hard time balancing social media and happiness. So, I usually pick happiness.
Has that correlation continued to increase over the years into the current?
Yeah. I feel like there's a level of marketing that I'm willing to get to. There's a level of self-promotion I'm willing to do, and then I'll just stop, and then that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the fans that I do have maybe picked that up over the years. That's maybe not my favorite thing to do.
Well, let's talk about those fans for a minute. And you both have your own careers as solo artists, and you both are leading men in a way. You do perform with groups at times, but you are both leading men in your own right. And so, but you're friends, and now you're coming together for this thing. How has that been?
It's been really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
it's easy. It's easier than it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Both making songs with this guy and getting in a van and cruising. We're both really good at navigating each other, personally, musically. All of it's kind of a lot easier than it should be. I feel like you couldn't pick people and randomly have them collaborate on something and have it go as smoothly every time as us, which is kind of awesome.
Yeah, and I think that beyond both of us have been touring for 15 years, and so there's a lot of experience of just how to handle people interpersonally on tour, of understanding when to give space and understanding when to be together. Beyond that, I think that though there are a lot of ways that we are very similar, there's a lot of ways where we sort of pick up and fill in where the other one doesn't, and play off each other's strengths and weaknesses, and so it kind of balances out super easy.
Yeah, it's very easy.
Yeah.
The whole thing is, it seems like a very valuable lesson in co-branding, almost. Would you agree?
I had never thought of it.
Yeah, if I was to think about it ever, maybe.
Well, it's interesting because, we work with a lot of small to mid-sized businesses.
Yeah, we should too.
We can talk. We can
make a note.
We can co-brand.
Start a Gatorade, work down.
Later on, when we try to see how much of the money Eloise ate. But yeah, I mean, you could argue that independent musicians such as yourselves are sort of the really ultimate use cases and case studies in terms of these very human, creative, small to mid-sized businesses.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of the most valuable lessons you've learned when you think about your careers in that way?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, the thing that I have realized, and maybe probably Steph too, is that over time, like you come into this, you don't realize that you're coming into a business. And then eventually you wake up and you realize you're in a business. And then you have a plan for where you think your business should be. And part of being in this line of work is that whatever your plans are, they're going to go out the window at some point in time. And it's not a matter of being so singular focused and being committed to this sort of like railroad track mentality, but understanding that like your plans are going to change, the offers are going to change, and a lot of times the offers that you get to make your career blossom are not the offers that you were hoping to get or expecting to get. But one day you sort of have to look around and realize like, okay, this isn't where I thought I was going to be, but where I'm at is great.
Yeah.
And learning to sort of like move and accept with that, you know, like there was a long time when I first started out, there was a whole like community of artists and musicians who I really wished that would pay attention to my music, and then one day they weren't, but then I looked and I was like, oh, but there's 200 people singing all of my lyrics right now, and I was like, okay, well those guys are done to me, you guys are the best. And that learning how to make that sort of transition, it's a constant, you're constantly making that transition every few years of going like, this isn't where I thought it would be at all, but this is still cool. Yeah, I think that's been the most like valuable lesson for me, is to be that level of flexible in my goals.
I think that's super smart. I think that I had less firm goals to begin with, so I think that came pretty naturally to me, to just be flexible with it, because my goals were way squishy. I think the thing that I've learned the most from all this touring and being on the road and handling this thing as a business is like really respecting and taking the time to acknowledge the people that are patrons of your business, the people that come to your shows and listen to your music and buy your merch. You know this as well as I. Like,
Yep.
These are the people that you need to like take the time to recognize and shake their hands and say hi and reply to their emails. And you know, if I haven't posted anything on social media for 9 months, that doesn't mean I haven't been going through these DMs saying thanks and saying sorry to people as they have requests and demands and, you know, curious about some offhand comment I made between songs in some city. Like, it's like having a good, you know, customer service or a good order fulfillment center. You know, if you treat the people that care about you with care, they hang and they're here and they're down for you. So a good combination of, you know, being squishy with those goals, but still goal oriented, and then treating your people with care, man.
Yeah, I was going to ask what solving for the customer first looks like as an artist.
Just don't ask me what to write about or what songs to play, and we're good. and I'll make sure that I'm always at least courteous to you.
Well, I think also too, like now, music is effectively free now. And so people have no obligation to spend money on your music in order to hear your music. And so purchasing of music, purchasing of concert tickets, purchasing of t-shirts are all sort of like a vaguely political act. They're a show of solidarity and support for an artist, because you don't need to do any of those things to have any of those things. And so as a result, it's not just good enough to have a good song. You have to have a good album, and you have to put on a good show, and you have to be a nice person, and you have to take care of these people that support you. And if you do, then ultimately people come to your shows and they buy t-shirts and they'll buy your record even though they can get it for free out of every like phone and McDonald's cup in the world. Like, and so as a result, you have a level of obligation, I think now, as a musician and a business owner, to really serve customers that way.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't nice to their fans, and those aren't people that built their whole thing themselves.
Yeah.
The people who get to be jerks to their fans are the people who have record labels paying for other shit, you know, or like to have the loans that they're paying back with their careers, you know? I feel like that's just true.
Yeah.
You just can't be a jerk to people, or people don't want to help. They don't have to.
Yeah.
And you commented that's, Andy, in part because music is essentially a free service at this particular point in time. You two were both fairly successful prior to the age of streaming in which we live now. So how has something like Spotify changed what you do or your trajectory, for better or for worse?
I mean, they have all of our money. Spotify, and I mean, I feel like there was a point where Apple decided that these priceless things that we love now cost like $1.99. And then at some point they were like, nah. You know, I feel like everything is totally different. Like he was saying, like you have to kind of correct and adjust for the fact that your income is not coming from sales. It's coming from everything else that you could possibly figure out to do, whether that's go play shows or come up with interesting ways with like little trinkets and jingly bits to make people buy these songs they don't need to buy.
Please name your next album Jingly Bits.
I have named all kinds of things Jingly Bits.
I think one of the things that I think, and we'll see how this pans out, like what the utopia that Spotify is promising is that like if you make good enough music, you'll get paid for it for the rest of your life every time someone plays it. As opposed to if you make good music back then, you get paid the one time the person buys the record. And you know, after everybody takes a cut, you get a couple of bucks, and then that's all. The utopia that they're promising is that like, if people stream your music for infinity, you will get music, you will get, you know, paid for every play. I still feel like that the music bubble has burst so many times, and I'm just expecting it to do the same. Right now, like I am, of course, remaining cautiously optimistic because that's all you really can do. But you know, we'll see. As of right now, like it is working in that way. Like it's not a huge pile of money, but money does continue to come in off of plays, off of songs that people like. Hopefully it works that way until I retire, so I can do that forever. But like, you know, that remains to be seen.
It's still new, getting it to work out in a way. The streams thing. I feel like we were just talking about people putting like 70 songs on their records, so there's more things to stream. Just so there's I mean, whenever there's some new innovation in the way that your songs get counted for plays or you get paid for them, everybody changes what they do, you know. Like when CDs came out and you had 74 minutes, Def Leppard will put out an album that's 74 minutes long simply because that's what it is now, you know? Like I feel like anytime there's like a new advance, everybody kind of jumps to get it. And maybe if the Spotify thing in the next couple of years, when they started paying everybody for streams in a specific way, maybe that'll like work out, or maybe in a couple of years it won't work and they'll have a new thing that they're gonna try to do. Either way, I stopped thinking about that as the way I get paid a long time ago.
So if I'm a Spotify premium member, am I part of the problem or am I helping?
I don't know if there's any other option. I feel like, I mean, I use Apple Music. I pay monthly. I definitely download records and I listen to them, and then I go ahead and buy. I still buy a lot more music than people, just on principle. You know, I buy records that I probably won't even listen to as much as some of the stuff I stream, simply because I like those people and I know what they have ahead of them to do. I know what their year is going to look like, and I know that they could use a couple sales. You know?
I have an ever-expanding collection of vinyl records that I never, ever play anymore.
It's true.
But I buy records at shows because there's like, and band t-shirts. Like I never wear band t-shirts, but I'm at a show, and if someone puts on a good show, I'll just buy a t-shirt and a tote bag and a record, and then I'll take that t-shirt and it'll sit in my closet for like a couple of months, and then eventually I'll just like put it somewhere else. But ultimately that, I know enough to know that that's the way that puts gas in the tank.
Yeah, there's people that, there's people that come to every show, buy everything on the table, you know they already have it, you know, and they just walk up and they have you sign the pre-order that they already bought, and then they go ahead and buy it again to give to somebody else, and they buy a couple things.
And we love those people. We love those people.
We need them.
Everybody needs all of those people.
Everybody needs them.
Yes, be that person.
And,
I'm saying not just for independent artists and the locals that you support, but everybody, man. If you respect what they do and you like what they do and you've gotten joy out of their music, buy something from them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at risk of, I'm going to put this back in a corporate context and just say that this has a lot to, it sounds like a case of adapting to very quickly evolving consumer preferences, especially now more than ever.
Yeah.
And then you have your brand loyalists, essentially.
Man, definitely. And I remember everybody trying to figure out what's the best and coolest way to put your record on a USB drive.
Yeah.
And being like, well, that's not cool. And it's never going to be cool.
Download
I don't
cards.
understand why everybody's doing that. Download cards. This download card has like seeds in it, so after you like read the code off of it and put the music on your phone, you can like plant this in your yard.
I've planted one of those, and
I
not
know
a goddamn thing grew out of it.
I would totally buy something like that.
I've dealt with those kinds of things. There's all kinds of different ways to get people to, songs are not even physical things. As soon as you make it, as soon as it's bounced on the computer screen, then it's just out there in the world. There's no reason to buy it unless you're trying to support something.
I feel like, too, one of the things that I will always be thankful of is that when we both really started touring heavily at the same time, we started touring right as like the CD market was like bottomed out, and everybody who was making money for years at music thought, oh my God, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And around that time, we were touring and we were not making any money.
Yep.
And so everyone who was like running around like the sky was falling financially, we were just like, cool, we're broke.
We're like, I just got a show check.
I
This
got
is like great.
$50 tonight. $50. And so as a result, it sort of just bred in, us, and this isn't just unique to us, there's so many people that came up this way too, just bred in this like, I guess that we've done a lot of adapting. If we sat down and wrote it out, what everything that's changed in the last 15 years, we've done a lot of adapting, but you don't ever think of it that way. You just go, cool, all right, this is the thing. Okay, cool, this is the thing. Well, that one has seeds in it, like great. And then you just kind of keep moving, and that's
just what it is.
That is what it is.
Just roll with it.
Yeah.
Our job is to make songs and play good shows.
Yeah.
We have to do a certain amount of marketing, a certain amount of like promotion, self-promotion, inventing things. But for the most part, we just make songs, and then we try to like get those songs somewhere somehow. But my primary focus is not, all right, does this download card need an individual number for every card, or can we use the same number for everything? I'm just simply not ever thinking about that. That's like stuff I'm overthinking.
I like reading about all that stuff.
If it sounds really interesting, I'll read about it, but there's so much like science.
Maybe that's what makes you or one of the things that makes you such a good team is that in terms of the different things that you work on to grow in that way, it's the perfect contrast to each other.
I mean, absolutely. And I don't know that I was always like not into it so much. I feel like I will still always stand out and try to shake everybody's hand and sign whatever they want and do all that stuff. But I feel like the first half of my career, I had tried to make bigger strides and move up and do all these things. And then you just kind of like see what it looks like, and then you kind of pick and choose what looks fun anymore. And fun has always just been way more important than like big success to me.
That kind of leads me to a question that I ask everybody who rolls through here, which is, what did growth look like in the earlier part of your career? And how is that different from what growth looks like to you now?
I mean, growth when we started was like literally $50. The first year of touring, Brock, my manager, like kept a record of everything that we got paid for every show, and it was like $0, $12, $27, a bag of weed, some beer, a place to stay, $0, $36, and the growth was seeing people appear, and seeing like not having to sleep in a car, like the very like tangible physical like quality of life improvements, like moving out of like the sleeping in the Honda and then like getting into a hotel room was like, that was growth at the time. And then now like that's been attained, and that is stable, and that is steady, and so now growth has become more about like artistic growth, and where like I feel like I can push my work, like where I can push myself in my work, and how that can constantly improve and evolve. You hope that the music you make will reach bigger audiences and all of those things, but ultimately you can't really worry about it, like, because if you worry, you'll go crazy worrying about it. Yeah, and you get bitter real quick.
A lot of people get real bitter.
Yeah, and so ultimately, like once I got to the point where like my life is comfortable and stable, then it became more about like, okay, cool, well this is good. If we can just keep this as our new zero, then we're fine, and let's see what weird shit I can think of in the studio and what, how I can push myself creatively and artistically.
I think I got a similar kind of answer, but also a little different. I feel like pushing myself creatively and just being a weirdo was kind of like where I started. And then without thinking too hard about it, that was like what I got good at and developed what my thing was. For me, a serious point of growth was getting, my first goal was to play at First Avenue, like the big venue in town. And I did that like 4 or 5 times over before I was like, I need new goals, right? And then I set goals to go fucking be Kanye. And then you get like a third of the way to that and see who you have to be and what kind of things you have to say yes to. And then maybe the growth is like realizing that doesn't even look like what you're into.
Yeah.
And then picking out new goals based on what you want your life to be. What is happiness? How much time you want to spend with your family? How much effort you want to put into things? Do you want to take out loans in order to be able to afford features? Do you want to take out extra loans to promote the fact that you have these features? Otherwise, it's like, why'd you pay for that feature? There's just, some shit ain't worth it. Doomtree, that I've got really great friends that make good moves. We're doing stuff. I feel like, at this point right now, my growth isn't even about music or career. It's about being an awesome person and moving. Music is just kind of autopilot now. This is just what I do. This is what I've been doing. I'm not stopping. It's just, that's fine. If that grows, that's cool. But I am growing.
So to the people watching then who are either literally or symbolically sleeping in the Honda,
Yep.
and they're wondering, should I really keep with this? What would you say to them?
Are you enjoying it?
Yeah.
Are you having fun playing the shows? I feel like there was never a point where either of us were sleeping in a Honda or sleeping in a van or sleeping on somebody's floor where we were like, fuck, what am I doing? We were both like, this is what you do.
Yeah. I feel like if you don't, it very well may never love you back, so you better love it and you love it unconditionally. And if you don't, then you're 100% you're in the wrong place.
It's true.
Because it could suck forever.
If you're in that Honda and you're 39 and you got 2 kids at home.
Yeah, that's the caveat.
That's a different thing.
Yeah.
But if you're fresh at this and you're still sleeping in a Honda, but you're still you don't have kids. You're not sweating what you're missing out on. You are where you should be in order to get to that next show. I don't think it's a question. I think you go for it until you can't, or until it's not fun.
Sure beats working for a living.
Yeah, man.
I thought you said twerking for a living for a minute.
You did.
Yeah, it's definitely what I meant. I can't twerk for shit.
I can, but I'm not going to show you.
You shouldn't have said that.
No, I should have.
Yeah.
All right. One quick question, and then we'll move on. What's next for you guys?
More songs.
More songs.
Europe. We go to Europe for 2 weeks.
Sweet.
December, I'm gonna hang out with my wife and work on motorcycles and enjoy a month off after this month on the road. Yeah, and then Europe.
Yeah, Europe. Hang out with kids.
More work.
Make stuff. I'm gonna get the new Red Dead Redemption game. Play the show.
I'm gonna finish playing Zelda on the Switch.
Sweet.
These are your goals. These are the new goals.
Gotta do that later. I forgot. All right. You guys are gonna be playing a track for us. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
The song is 6666. It's the title track off the record. I always forget that last 6.
Subtle but important.
Very important, very important. And it's, in my opinion, it's the best song on the record. I think it's one of the best songs I've ever made, and I think it's probably the best song we've made together. And it's really about what a lot of we've been talking about growth, about this song is really truly about what it means to be moving out of sort of the youth and anger and frustration, rebellion of our careers, and into this sort of adult stage of our career, and making some music as some grown-ass men. Not maybe necessarily all less frustrated or angry, but definitely pointed and honed what it needs to be. Yeah. A lot of this record, the top half of it is maybe a little more raw and about the world out there, whereas the second half, including this song, is a lot more about the world in here.
you know, in our heads and growing.
Awesome. Well, thank you both again so much for sitting and hanging out for a little while.
Thanks for
Yeah,
coming.
thanks for having us.
This is Growth Raps.
Everything's fine. We're all friends still. I ain't never been to war. Knock on fucking wood. And neither of you, so we're doing pretty good. I ain't never killed a man. Once I stole to eat, I knew I wouldn't starve. It's all just make-believe. I think I'm George Patton, Herbert Hoover, speaking Shakespeare to the stones and hope that they'll be moved by words. Turn rivers into reservoirs. I used to think, fuck it, I used to think I was Casanova, but I crumble nowadays. Whenever I sleep without her, I used to worship Papa. Spanish Civil War, fishing off the keys, that bullfights and cigars. Man, that shit don't work for me. I'm on some Buck Bukowski, heaven help us. Isaac Brock was right. I'm turning over every single stone in search of signs of life. It's kinda nice, that quiet life, yeah. Far from guns of war, run my fingers through the grass and listen to you talk. Sunlight in the curtains, freckles on your skin. This my Everest, this my Silk Road, this my South Pole Shackleton. Yeah, life is protest, we are weapons. Goddamn love like air spring. They are frontiers, they are endless. In the end are everything. The sun ain't set on me yet. I ain't got much, but I'm not alone. Inside each life there are forfeits. We all may hold through our broken jaws. Broken jaws.
Sure. I'm ready, I'm patient, I'll wait, no I ain't. I'm scared and I'm quick to escape. Yeah, he went that away. Maybe flattered and scattering, or flattened and shattering, or collecting data. I don't have an idea that isn't unraveling. Whoa, free where the breeze will take me. Helium and balloon, but no string. This what nobody wanted. We stuck stuff for under, we so out of sync. Just remember to breathe. Just remember to beat. Just remember how beats to be reached for like anything. Do that shit easy. Nothing comes easy. Just take it easy. There ain't no freebies. Do what the needs be. Or what you keeping. Or think they do not need me. Cause they don't if you sleeping. Caught in the romance and drama. Or woe is me. Stop it from catching the opening. And there won't be credits. And this won't stop happening ever. The sun ain't set on me yet. I ain't got much, but I'm not alone. Inside each life there are forfeits. We all may hold through our broken jaw.
I'm learning it never makes sense, and it's okay. Life is a weapon itself, with the sharpest blade. There is not a heaven or hell, just each day. Life is a death in itself, and I can change.
I'm learning to let go as well when it's so strange. The past is a part of me now, there's no escape. I made up this bed for myself, and I'm sleeping in it. Hey, no race in the past, I take back what I lost. Cause I ain't dead, I ain't